I read recently that Forbes is searching for a buyer, and this is on the heels of a SPAC deal, a special purpose acquisition company deal that fell through for Forbes. So they're searching for a buyer. I read the article. There were some things that jumped out to me right away. And what jumped out, I believe, are some lessons that I think you can use if you're someone who is trying to figure out how I'm going to value my business. I want to sell my business, or maybe even you want to flip that and you want to buy a business. But there are some lessons that you can learn from this, from Forbes' search for a buyer. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to outline what I believe are some lessons that you can learn, what I think are 4 lessons you can learn. And then what I'll do is also at the end of this video, I'll give you my summary just to give you some tips, some more tips from my experience when it comes to selling a business. I'll do that right after this break. Come on. Welcome back to Side Hustle Rules. My name is Lou Reyes. And before the break, I said in this video, what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you some what I think are key lessons that you can use to value and to sell your small business. And the lessons are lessons that we're going to be gleaning from an article that announced that Forbes is for sale. If you're not familiar with Forbes, they're a media company. They've got magazines. They have a trade show business. They also have, I believe, digital products as well. We're going to be talking about the lessons that you can learn from their sale. Before we do that, though, I just want to mention in the description box of this video, I've got 2 things. Number 1, I do have my free Side Hustle Starter Kit. It's a link. You click on it, you'll get my free Side Hustle Starter Kit, which describes in detail the 8 steps that every business owner, every aspiring business owner must take if they want to go ahead and launch a business. So that's in the description box. I also have a link to my Patreon page, and that Patreon page is called Side Hustle Rules Pro. On Patreon, I can go a lot deeper into business stuff. So if you're interested in learning the ins and outs of starting and growing a small business, a medium-sized business, you're going to want to subscribe to Side Hustle Rules Pro. And again, that link is in the description box. So now let's get to our video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up the article or a copy of the article that I read. And the article was from, as you can see, from the New York Times. But I also read this story on Reuters and in some other publications as well. So it's out there. But let's look at the 4 things, the 4 items that just jumped out at me. And they really prompted this video, again, because I think you can learn, we can all learn from Forbes' search for a buyer. The first thing that jumped out at me was that Forbes is selling for $600 or proposing to sell at a price of $630. That's a fat $630 million. Considering the market, I don't know if that's a good price or not. There's no way I would know that. But if you look down at the bottom there, it says, according to the document, Forbes generated more than $200 million in revenue and more than $40 million in profit in 2021. They either went with, my guess is they went with a multiple, and I'm going to touch on multiples. I'm also going to just mention a little bit about intrinsic value. I won't go into that too deeply because I don't know if that's going to be as relevant, although intrinsic value is important to look at if you're, I think, if you're going to be looking at selling a company. So I looked at the valuation. $630 million. I looked at how the valuation was going to be presented through an offering document, and I do want to touch on that and tell you a little bit about that. But that offering document that Forbes sent out described their financials. Their financials were compiled by Citigroup. I also, another thing that jumped out to me, number 3, would be how that was circulated. They circulated their offering document to media companies. That includes Yahoo. I'm going to touch on that as well in this video. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about timing. Timing is critical. I don't know that this is the best time for Forbes to sell. There was a media property that sold recently for a large amount of money. There were a few other ones previous to that, but back in August of last year, so almost a year ago, there were 2 big sales of media companies, and I've kind of put that information on there for you to look at. But it really has to do with timing. Is this the right time to sell? If you're a small business or a medium-sized business, timing is important. You want to sell at the best time. We're going to be talking about that. So now we're going to look at number one. I'm going to start with timing. Now on your screen, what I have is I have a panel. And on the top of that panel, as you can see, it says timing. And what I did is I listed 3 businesses that were in the range, in that fat range that Forbes is looking or would like to receive for their business. And we see back in August of 2021, there were some big deals that were made. And so I looked at those deals and I said, okay, geez, back a year ago, there was some, nice deals here, $1 billion, $130 million for a company. And I'm thinking, well, back then it was a good time to sell your business. And of course, we jump up ahead here to August 2022, where Axos was purchased by Cox for $525 million. That's certainly in the ballpark of Forbes. Why do I bring this up? What lesson can we learn from this? Well, again, it's all about timing. Is this a good time for Forbes to sell? Well, if Forbes is looking at the fact that Axios was purchased by Cox for $525 million, I'm thinking, if I'm Forbes, I'm thinking, yeah, this is a good time to sell my business. But what I know is that the market is not as hot in terms of ad sales. It's not as hot as it was, and certainly not as hot as it was back in August in 2021. So is this a good time for Forbes to sell? I don't know. Forbes will not get, in my opinion, they won't get the $630 million that they're asking for, because I think timing was better for them a year ago. But what's the lesson here? Well, the lesson here is for you. If you have a business that you want to sell and you're looking at valuing it, well, you're going to get the best value for your business. You're going to get the best value when you sell it at the right time. And I think that one of the things that I always try to do, and I've tried to do even when I sold my business, my larger business, was what I looked at is I don't want to get too emotionally attached to it. You got to look at the numbers. You got to look at the timing. Don't get emotional. Sell it for what the best value is. Hold on to that value during negotiations as long as you possibly can. You're going to go back and forth with someone, but timing is important. So when I looked at the article again, I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but I'm just saying I looked at this article and I thought, is this the right time to sell? And I would ask you to ask yourself that same question. Is this the right time, the best time to sell my business? What's on your screen now is some basic numbers that I gleaned from that article. And what I have at the very top, it says Forbes Valuation. They're valuing their company at $630 million. I said it's a fat 630 because I don't believe that's a number that they're going to get. And there's for a number of reasons. I've talked about a couple of them already. But with the market, there's been a lot of almost a flurry of activity recently in the media world. I don't know that they're going to find a partner, a willing partner, somebody who's got the synergy or can provide the synergy that they're going to need. But the valuation they got is $630. They're doing that based on revenue of $200 million in 2021, $40 million profit in 2021. It's just a return on that, a simple return. Looking at this numbers, they've got a 20% return. All I did, of course, obviously, was I just took those two numbers and divided them. But they also have, if you look at that, that's a multiple of, just looking at these numbers, it's a multiple of 15.75. And again, I just took it and I divided 630 by 40. So you've got that multiple there of 1575. Now, that's something that I think if you're looking at this and you're wondering, well, how does this apply to me? Well, it applies to you in terms of how do you determine the value of your business? And there's a few ways. One is through a multiple, which is a basic multiple. And I just showed you that here. Now, another way, and this is the way that I prefer, is looking at intrinsic value. When you're looking at intrinsic value, is rather than using an asset's market price or stock price to determine its worth, the value is determined by means of an objective calculation, or they can use a complex financial model. And there's an article in the description box that describes that in more detail, or in detail, because I'm not describing it in detail because this isn't a video about intrinsic value. I'm only saying that there are different ways to value a company. I'm going to get a little bit more into it at the very end of this video, but I want you to know, looking at Forbes valuation, they've got a fat 630. When you're valuing your business, it's better, as I said in the first panel, it's better to sell when the market is ripe, when you've got companies out there who have the means to buy your business. What's on your screen right now is a basic outline of an offering document. And it's a very basic outline, but it's very important if you decide you want to sell your business. And I've got it broken down into 2 steps. Although my guess is that Forbes, when they sent out their offering document, my guess is they had it in just one offering document that they sent out. And if somebody was interested, they're scheduling meetings and going with that. But let's talk about the 2 steps that I outlined right here for you. Number 1, communicate the strength of your business. So when you're creating an offering document, I say one page, at least on the cover page, is you're going to communicate the strengths of your business. You're going to list the benefits of owning and operating the business. You're also going to support your thesis with basic financial data and projections. Now, let me say this. If you're not good you're a small business person, medium size, you don't consider yourself a good writer, well, hire a writer. You can do that through Fiverr or some of the other platforms out there. But hire someone who understands sales, who can write in a sales format. That is what I'd recommend. But again, what I also have here on that step 1 is support your thesis with basic financial data and projections. The emphasis is on basic. And I'm going to explain what I mean by basic. It says if a potential buyer shows real interest, ask them to sign a non-disclosure agreement, then provide detailed financial statements, management biographies, and a detailed description of the business operation, including supporting documents. Now, my friends, I'm going to be jumping over to the second page here, which is distribute offering document. And this is where we're going to be talking about giving more than basic and proceeding with caution. So it says here, distributing offering document. Distribute your offering documents to decision makers, people who are most likely to be interested in purchasing your business. As in the case of Forbes, they targeted the media sector, including Yahoo, as most likely buyers. And my suspicion is that they included Yahoo because Yahoo does have synergy. Yahoo does have their own financial platforms, so there could be synergy there. I don't know if Yahoo does events, but of course Forbes does. And if Yahoo wanted to get into the event business, should they not be in it, well, there's some real opportunity there for them to generate some additional revenue. If you look at the second item here on this page, it says proceed with caution. Don't distribute your offering document to business people who could use your business information to your disadvantage. While there is no way to protect yourself 100%, it is wise to proceed with caution. So you're not going to distribute your offering document to your number 1 competitor. I wouldn't think. You'd have to analyze the marketplace and determine that for yourself. But when I'm sending out an offering document, what I recommend, and if I was sitting across from you, this is what I would say: send out your offering document in stages. Stage 1, as I mentioned in the last panel, is basic offering document with some basic numbers. If you find somebody, you have a prospect who has the means and they're willing to buy it, there's synergy there. I stress that word synergy because that to me is important. Not important to everyone, but it's important to me because I want to sell it to somebody where I can get the best value, and that's someone who's going to realize the synergy. But I'm only giving out the basic information. I get someone who I know fits all my criteria for the ideal person to sell it to. Then I'm going to have them sign an agreement, non-disclosure, and then I'll give them the rest of the information. But that's how I would proceed with those 2 panels. Create your offering document and to distribute it to people who are most likely to purchase your company. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up one more panel for you. And you'll look on your screen now, and what you're going to see is I talk about justifying your valuation. And I mentioned I was going to come back to valuations here. The thing that I believe is the most important for you to remember, maybe one of the most important takes out of this video, is that You're going to be prepared. You must be prepared to justify your valuation. But understand this, any value is uncertain and to at least some extent speculative. Future values are even more speculative. And I think this is maybe one of the most important takes that you can get from this video is that when if you decided to sell your business, you're looking at how to come up with the value. And I've talked to many people. Many people have contacted me. I did a video on how to value your business. The video got quite a few hits. I got some calls, some messages from people where they asked me for help in helping them determine the value. And we always conclude with, after looking at a lot of different line items on their statements and talking about their business and the economy, we always conclude that it's hard to be precise. It's very difficult to be precise, and I believe it's impossible, and most people do understand that. So let's look at that second item here where it says, for the greatest precision, it's best to perform an individual market property analysis with specific revenue growth projections and profitability estimates, which take into consideration the particular characteristics of the property being evaluated in the market in which it operates. I included this whole paragraph. This paragraph was by Professor Benjamin J. Bates. He's a School of Journalism and Electronic Media. You can see there at the University of Tennessee. I included this whole paragraph, but what's important and what I really like you to pull out of this is what I highlighted. For the greatest precision, take into consideration the particular characteristics of the property being evaluated in the market in which it operates. Whether you're looking at selling or looking at buying your business, you're always going to take into consideration the particular characteristics in the market in which it operates. If I'm valuing a business, yes, I'm looking at intrinsic value, and that's important to me. But I'm also going to borrow something that's Charlie Munger said. Charlie Munger with Warren Buffett, the two billionaires. And what Charlie Munger said when it comes to valuing a business, he says he looks at opportunity costs. If he spends money in one place, that means he probably can't spend money in another place. So where is he going to get the best value? When you're considering or determining the value of your business, give that some thought. Put yourself in that other person's shoes. I recommend you put yourself in their shoes and you say, okay, what's the opportunity cost? I want them to get the best opportunity. So I'm going to sell them that this is the best opportunity. Put yourself in their place and sell them on that you're giving them the best. They're getting the best. And what you're going to get, my hope for you, is that you'll get top dollar for your business. That's all I got for you today. If you do have any questions, I would send me a message. Make a comment, send me an email. Love to hear your comments. When it comes to valuing a business, it's a fun thing to do. Takes a lot of analysis. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it is something that you're going to need to do if you're going to go ahead and sell it. Also, be sure when you do it, you put together the best, I'm going to call it sales sheet that you could put together. So again, that's all I got for you. I look forward to meeting you and talking to you again soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Come on!